Pick a place you want to attack, then attack somewhere else to divert his attention. While he's distracted,
これ、ダイバーとアテンション。関心をそらす。
capture your real objective. Giap has done everything he can to prepare for the Tet offensive. He uses spies, secrecy, and deception. The time to attack is now at hand. January 31st, 1968. Fireworks crackle. It's the Tet Lunar New Year. Suddenly, the celebration turns deadly. More than 80,000 Viet Cong troops carry out simultaneous individual attacks on more than 100 cities, villages, and U.S. bases all across South Vietnam. The Tet Offensive has begun.
The Americans and the South Vietnamese are shocked. They were stunned. They had thought the enemy was on his last legs, yet reports are coming in from
これ on their last legs 疲れ切って壊滅しかかって on their last legs
from everywhere, every city, every town, every base, that they're under attack.
U.S. commanders see the map of South Vietnam light up like a pinball machine.
We couldn't believe.
Like a pinball. Pinball ってなんだっけピンボールのマシンってゲーム機械ですね、これね。
That they had moved this many troops this close to the cities, and they very patient, had taken months to position arms there and troops and give them cover. An amazing logistical feat.
Giap's informants lead the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese troops through the streets to strategic targets. One group captures the national radio station, while another blows a hole in the wall of the American embassy and fights its way onto the grounds. The Tet offensive looks like it might succeed, but the North has ignored one very important Sun Tzu principle, and it will cost. Sun Tzu says there are 5 fundamental factors for success in war: weather, terrain, leadership, military doctrine, and most importantly, moral influence.
これも ありましたよね。ですけど、なぜか知りませんけど、書いてないんですよね。なんででしょうね。おかしいね。書いてないですね。ちょっと手抜きですね。これも補強しなきゃいけないですね。
Moral influence means a leader must have the will of the people behind him. Otherwise, a war will ultimately fail. It's an important clue in solving the mystery of whether Sun Tzu predicted America's demise in Vietnam. As the Tet Offensive rages in 1968, the Viet Cong carry blacklists and assassinate South Vietnamese sympathizers at will. One of the most brutal massacres takes place in the city of Hue.
They massacred 5,000 people in Hue. Many of them government functionaries whose only crime was that they worked in a government agency. And also they exterminated, they literally shot several hundred nuns whose only crime was that they were Catholic nuns. That brutality, I think, backfired. A lot of Vietnamese said, wait a minute, this is not the kind of thing we do.
バックファイアって反動ですね。ちょっと待ってくださいね。
It's not the kind of people we want to live under. But it was a terrible and, in my judgment, pointless massacre.
Without the will of the people, Giap's small units are left without reinforcements. They have no idea what to do, and no way to communicate with each other. Then, U.S. forces sweep in and devastate the fragmented North Vietnamese fighters. "10,000 die in the first few days of the attack, while U.S. forces suffer only 250 casualties. Tet is a military disaster for the North Vietnamese. But Sun Tzu's concept of moral influence cuts both ways. When Americans see the images of the Tet Offensive on their television screens, popular support for the war rapidly erodes.
This had the effect of just simply turning everybody's feelings about the war upside down. We had thought we were winning in Vietnam, and we were finding that we were losing in Vietnam. And at that moment, I think everything changed in America.
Despite losing the battle, Giap is well on his way to winning the war by defeating the U.S. where it matters most, at home. After Tet, Giap returns to his guerrilla tactics. In 1975, with U.S. military support all but gone, Saigon finally falls to the North Vietnamese army. At the end of the war, U.S. Colonel Harry Summers meets with North Vietnamese leaders to negotiate the American withdrawal.
Harry Summers had a meeting with Colonel Tu's North Vietnamese counterpart in Hanoi, probably getting a little angry at what was going on, and snapped at the colonel, the Vietnamese colonel, "Well, the truth is you never beat us."
スナップっていう単語が出てきましたけど、鋭い口調で言うっていうんですね。
On the battlefield, the Vietnamese colonel looked at him and said, "Well, that's true," he said, "but it's also irrelevant." And there you have it. It was the political context that was important far more than the military, as it always is throughout history. One more time to remember that war is a means to an end, and that end is almost always governed by politics, not by military victory or defeat.
This is a notion that General Giap well understood, as did the master, Sun Tzu. It's about 500 BC in ancient China. Sun Tzu's hit-and-run campaign against the kingdom of Chu is working. Sun Tzu's adversary, the Chu Prime Minister Nang Hua, grows frustrated and loses some political allies.
Nang Hua and his generals are increasingly frustrated by Sun Tzu's cross-border raids. The constant harassment is undermining the morale of the Chu troops. Money is being drained out of the Chu treasury. In some cases, the best of Chu's warriors are either killed or captured by Sun Tzu. Faced with this dilemma, Nang Hua is forced to turn to Chu's allies for men, money, and materiel.
Throughout the countryside, there is fear of where Sun Tzu will strike next. Leaders in the royal court begin to lose faith in Nang Hua, and allies begin to defect to Sun Tzu's side. But this disloyalty doesn't come without punishment. Nang Hua deploys his army to destroy a rogue ally in the north called Sai. As the capital is about to be attacked, the Duke of Sai calls on Sun Tzu for help. Sun Tzu now faces a seemingly no-win situation. If he does nothing, his ally will be destroyed. If he tries to save his ally, Nang Hua will crush his army. But for Sun Tzu, the solution is simple. He leads a small force towards Sai to act as bait to draw Nang Hua away from the city. It's a key principle of Sun Tzu's teaching. To move your enemy, entice him with something he is certain to take.
This is this whole idea of
これはこれですかね。これあったような気がするんだよね。これですね。攻めて必ず取るはその守らざるところを攻めればなり。 you can be sure of succeeding in your attack if you only attack places which are undefeated. この話だったら彼らがその3位に攻め込んでる時首都がね無防備になったんで孫子はそっちを攻めたんですね。ということですよね。
In a sense, achieving kind of a maneuver dominance or controlling enemy movement by your own maneuver.
Nanhua immediately stops his siege on Sai and mobilizes his army to intercept Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu saves his ally without drawing a sword. But will he be able to save himself?
While Sun Tzu has succeeded in drawing Nanhua away from his siege of Sai, it seems that he's maneuvered himself into a trap. He's surrounded by Nanhua's forces.
Sun Tzu has placed his men where there is no possibility of retreat. He has placed them on death ground. Sun Tzu says, put the army in the face of death where there is no escape, and they will not flee or be afraid. There is
これデスプレイスって死地って死ぬ土地ですよね。死地は軍隊がなんていうか死に物狂い戦う
nothing they cannot achieve. Sun Tzu studied every aspect of war, including the psychology of men facing imminent death.
Sun Tzu says that when the men know that they are in death ground, they will be transformed. They become overnight fearless fighters, that they will fight with all they have in order to win.
On death ground is exactly where Sun Tzu wants his soldiers. And it is on death ground that another great army finds itself, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. June 6, 1944. Allied troops in World War II invade Europe. They land on the treacherous beaches of Normandy, France.
If you put troops on a beach from which there is no retreat, and there's almost no retreat from beaches, then they will fight because they have to fight to survive. And you can see this at Normandy.
What those men went through was almost unbelievable. When you see those beaches and you see what those men had to face, it's absolutely sobering to realize. And it makes you very proud to be an American.
これそばになって真剣にさせるっていう
Well, as far as I'm concerned.
How they survive and ultimately defeat the Nazis is predicted in the pages of Sun Tzu's Art of War. Sun Tzu says, all warfare is deception. If you can deceive your enemy before battle, you are more likely to win.
これいっぱい孫子の話が出てくるのにあんまりこうなんか引用されてないですね。ちょっと引用が少ないですね。このこれだけど、故に将兵はまず勝ちて、しかる後に戦いを求め、敗兵はまず戦いてしかる後に勝ちを求める。これなんかも出てきてないですよね。Thus it is that in war, the victorious strategist only seek battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fight and afterward looks for victory. まあ勝てることがもう予測してはっきりしているので戦う。でもう一方は勝つか負けるかわからないので戦ってから勝とうとするんですね。で、ここは虚実編がですね、今回きちんといろいろ調べたんですね。で、これちょっと虚実編を見ようと思うんですけど、虚実編ですね。なんか前の方にいっぱい出てきたのに結構、50年です。ちゃんと書いてないですね。